So what's up? Hey guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel if you are new. My name is Renavi and what is the Bomba Clad Tea. So today I have a very special guest. You guys know I don't do introductions, so I'll let him introduce himself.
What's up? Jafaris, aka Uncle Jaffa, no relation. You know what I'm saying? What's happening?
Thank you so much for coming. I'm shy.
No, thank you for having me.
No bother. Okay, so to even just get started, I want to know where the name Jafaris even came from.
Honestly, it's not a special story at all. I used to go by the name Profound. Some other guy from
Profound.
Profound, yeah. I thought I was smart. I thought I was wise beyond belief. But yeah, I used to go by Profound, and then some guy in the UK, slightly bigger artist than me at the time, he wanted to fight for the name. Like, he wanted to rap battle.
What the hell?
And I didn't have that confidence. So I was like, you can just have the name. So I went on just looking up names, name generators, all of that. And then I went to names in alphabetical order. Went to J straight away. Jafaris just popped out at me.
What does it mean?
A deeper need to inspire.
Okay.
So at the time, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. So I just attached that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Wait, what? He wanted to beef you for the name? Like, didn't he just randomly find you and was like, that's my name?
Yeah, because I was dropping a lot of songs on SoundCloud, and he was dropping a lot of songs on SoundCloud. But when people would look for probably him or me, they'd come across us. You get me? And there was other Profounds as well, but yeah, he had more of a following than me. So I was like, yeah, you.
Wait, did he have any like legal entity behind his name?
Nah, none of us had any trademarks or copyrights or anything. Nah.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so I want to like reel it back as well and understand who you are before you today. So like, who was Mr. Jafaris before he became what he is now? Like, is there a difference between your evolution and stuff like? Because obviously I didn't know who the fuck you were, like, do you know what I mean, until like recent times. Actually, until I came into uni, and I remember everyone was like, Jafaris, and I was like, who the fuck is this bitch? Because I'm coming from like NS, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and it's crazy because even when I moved up to Dublin, I got the name culture attached to me all the time, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, because I didn't know anybody. So yeah, I want to know, who is that? Like, if you could do like primary school, secondary school times, like, who was Jafaris back then?
I would say, well, that's a broad question because obviously there's a lot of details.
Yeah, go on.
But I'd say primary school, I was the shy kid, the always in the background. When I spoke, it was like, what did you say? Like, you get me? I was just like, I'm still kind of soft-spoken, but obviously a bit more confident now. Secondary school, I became like kind of like the class clown in the sense. Like, I wasn't funny or anything, but like I would have my moments, you know. And then
and what changed? What changed in that?
I feel like the period between primary school and secondary school. So I went to a private school between me going to a public secondary school. Okay. So I did like my first 3 years of secondary school in a private school, and it was like so different, you know, smaller. I didn't really know anybody like that or whatever.
Did you like it?
It was cool. It was like a Christian private school. You get me? So it taught me a lot of like the morals and stuff that I have now. You get me? It was cool, and then it closed. Wait, sorry.
Down. Before you even continue, in terms of like education, did you see a difference in how they taught and like the things that they taught?
The private school made us more independent, like independent learners. So like the course was, you finish it based on how much time you put into it. You get me? So it could take you 6 years to finish the course type thing.
Oh,
you get me? Like, depending on how slow you are. So yeah, it was cool. Then it closed down. Then I went to secondary school, and I like met all my friends from primary school again, and they were popular in school, so I was just amongst the popular crowd, which then gave me a bit more confidence, you know, like, oh, people can't say too much to me and all of that stuff. And then I think it was like fourth year, like transition year, where I just like, school just wasn't fun anymore, like in the sense of like the academic side. I was just like, what we doing today that's like mischievous or like, you know, not school related. So then when fifth and sixth year came around, I was like a dumb mute. Like, even though I was smart before, and then I just didn't care about academics. But I found music in transition year. I found acting. I found some of my closest friends. Yeah, so that was a pivotal time in my life for sure. So I found confidence as well. I did a lot of talent shows. Yeah, it was cool. And then college time, that's when I was like, I want to do music, but I hate college, and my parents want me to do college. So that created more of like a thing with my family. It was
Yeah.
already friction, but it just created more distance, which then made me. This is all getting deep already.
Nah, go ahead. That's what you mean.
It
I have that effect on people. But go on.
It then made me kind of have to like find family outside of my family. Do you get me?
Yes, that's actually what I'm in it right now. That's my life right now.
Yeah.
Go on.
But then I was a people pleaser, like heavy. Do you get me? Because I was like, in order for these people to want me around, so I don't have to go home, they have to like me. So I was doing things that I didn't necessarily all the time feel comfortable doing or even want to do.
Yes, I get it.
But yeah, that ran for a good few years of my life. It's not until like pandemic times that I was like, okay, who am I? Like, what do I care about? Why am I friends with these people? I actually don't like these people, blah, blah, blah. Like, and then, yeah, now we're here where I just feel more,
stable in yourself.
Yeah, you don't really, not everyone needs to like you. Do you get me? You don't have
Would
to
you
be
say
friends
you
with everyone.
still have those people-pleasing tendencies?
Yeah, for sure. Because I want people to be comfortable. I just like, a nice atmosphere and stuff. But
Are you actively trying to get out of that? Or do you not just give a shit?
it's like circumstantial. Do you get me? Sometimes, like nowadays, because I used to just I laugh a lot, right? But nowadays, it's like if it's not funny, like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fake the laugh,
Yeah.
And I'm much more like I feel like I'm more brutally honest, which not always a nice thing for people to hear sometimes,
But it's needed though.
yeah, for sure. So is that like I'm here and there, like it depends. Like if I know, or if I assume that your character maybe can't handle that side of me, then I still do try to accommodate. But I wouldn't consider that people pleasing because I don't go to the ends of the earth for them to like me.
So it's more like adaptable.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so would you say then that the pandemic then like was a big shift in who you are or how you see yourself?
Yeah, it gave me, because before the pandemic, I was doing everything and anything music. So I was doing shows, I was in the studio, I was traveling, I was doing all of that, which was fun. But I never had, or I just never made time for myself to just be like, okay, like digest what you just did, or like bask in what you just did. So pandemic allowed me to really evaluate my whole career, my whole life, and I realized like once I found music, that became my life. Do you get me? Like real life was secondary. So all my relationships, whether it was like with my girlfriend or my family, whatever, it was just like it was almost non-existent. You get me? Like I was there, but I wasn't present. So pandemic made me really evaluate like, why do you even care about this music thing so much? Like to the point where you're forgetting the people who were there before this thing. Do you get me? So yeah, I just went down a deep rabbit hole of introspection, essentially.
And why music actually? Because I feel like, obviously I feel like, I don't know, maybe just because I'm like a creative myself, but I feel like everyone kind of gravitates towards music when they want to like do something creative. So why is it for you music? Do you know what I mean?
A few things, like I got introduced to music through a friend of mine from church when I was young, and I looked up to him. Do you get me? So anything he did, I just kind of followed. Until I sat down with the music, because I was just making stupid music to follow the gang, but I wasn't like saying anything. Do you get me? Until over time, I was doing it to the point where my dad and my mom had heard some of my songs, and they were like, "What are you talking about?" You know, like I was saying words that weren't even in my normal vocabulary. They were just like, "Oh, I heard that," so I repeated it. But yeah, it wasn't until my dad sat me down and was like, "All right, cool, we can't stop you from doing this, but if you're gonna do it, at least make it be something that means something, or something that your parents can listen to and not be ashamed," type thing.
Okay.
Which then made me take a back seat from just music and just words. I just like, what do I actually want to say? What's on my heart? So I went into poetry for a while, and that like unlocked so many things inside me that I didn't know were there. Like, because I was a shy kid, I couldn't sit there and be like, Mom, I don't like this, or to my girlfriend, oh, I don't like when you do this, or blah blah. So through poetry was the only way I felt like, oh, I can send this to you and it says everything I'm trying to say, but without having to confront you. Do you get me?
Yeah.
And then naturally it started going back into music, but with more of like, oh, you're saying something a bit more meaningful. At the time, it was still like, because I was inspired by people like Eminem, do you get me? And he's like very wordy. So I was using big words and stuff and parts of the songs that didn't make sense. Like, it didn't mean anything. It was just like, that sounds smart. And that's why I call myself pro fan, because I thought it was smart, you know? Yeah, so I got into it because of him, and then it stuck because of how therapeutic it became for me. Do you get me? But for the longest time, that was the only reason why I chose music. Okay. And then because it started working and people started giving me attention, I was like, I guess this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But I didn't know why else I was doing this. Do you get me? Besides the therapeutic factor.
Do you have any other interests besides music?
I like film. Like, I like acting.
Okay.
I come from a dance background, so I like dance.
You told me you were the dancer the last time. Why you lying?
I mean, I'm not a great dancer, but that's like where I come from. Do you get me? And what else do I like? I like people. I love people. That's the main thing that I like.
I want to even touch on something because I saw something that you said and I wanted to go on.
What else do I like? Yeah, that's it really.
Okay, I have a bit of a deep question to ask. Do you think in this time of your life that you say that you could confidently say that you love yourself?
Yeah. I love myself, but I'm not great at expressing love to myself.
Further explain.
So, like, of course, like if I see that let's say personally anyways, I always look at myself at the end of the day, like in the mirror, and if I feel like I'm getting too like thick here and there, whatever, then I'm like, all right, cool. This next 2 weeks, I'm just eating healthy, blah, blah, yeah. I try to, take care of myself as much as possible, like, wash myself, clean myself, all
I'm
of that.
not even talking about the external. I'm talking about more internal.
How do you express love internally?
That's a very good question. Let me put my feet up for that. Okay. For me, I would say For me, how I would say that I'm in a stage of actually like loving myself is being able to set boundaries. Because same with you, that like I grew up being a people pleaser, and it's only like in the last year that I'm starting to like become more firm in who I am and like being okay and accepting who I am and being able to show that out to the people them. Do you know what I mean? So boundaries is something that I've been trying to actively implement in my life and be like, do you know what? No, I don't like how you treat me. I don't like how you talk to me. And being able to consistently do that with my interaction with people. And even if I don't get a good reaction back from them because I've set those boundaries, at least I'm like, okay, the fact that you've reacted to this already shows me that you're not supposed to be in my life regardless. Do you know what I mean? So because of that, and even if it may not feel good in the moment, afterwards I'm like, okay, the fact that you're even able to speak up in the first place, I'm proud of you, Serena. Do you know what I mean? To me, that's loving myself, if that makes sense, internally.
So, then I guess for me, then how I would say I love myself is I'm just honest with myself,
Okay, in what way?
I mean, so I've always been the type of person. Now I'm more like settled in that way of being, but before I would try to ignore it, but it was always there. Like, so I was always around groups of friends and stuff, like I said, that weren't necessarily, I wasn't supposed to be around these people, but so I would be there and do everything, but then I'd get home and I would literally sit there for hours just being like, why did you say that? What did you, like, what's going, like, you're just looking for attention when you do that, or blah, blah, blah. So I would always just tell myself the truth. Do you get me? Even if I didn't want to hear it, I would just be like, yeah, you're really just doing that because you wanted her to look at you, blah, blah, do you get me? So I'd say that's an expression of internal love, but expressing outer love, I'm still figuring that out. I'm still getting good at it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because I still do things that I know aren't good for me. You get
So why
me?
do you keep doing them?
Why do we eat sugar? We know it's not good for us, you get me? But we enjoy it. It's a habit. It's a desire. You know, lack of discipline, a lot of things.
Do you think you have discipline?
I could have a lot more discipline.
How do you feel like you're going to cultivate that then?
That's a good question. I think maybe being around more people who are disciplined, maybe just
That is a very good way to
create
start.
creating environments
Yeah.
that allow for discipline, but you know, easier said than done.
You know how you were saying that you would be like honest with yourself. Do you think a lot of people lack that internal like honesty with themselves?
Yeah, I would say maybe lack is the right word, but I also say like it's not their fault. You know, it's like there's so
Can you
many.
really say it's their fault?
Like you can't blame people for not knowing what they don't know. Do you
Okay,
get
that's
me?
true. That's
like,
true. So then, how did you then come to knowing? And then they can't.
I think it's just like everyone has different families as well. You know, like my dad would always ask me questions that were introspective questions.
Okay.
Do you get me? So I couldn't be around my dad without knowing a bit about myself enough to relate to him. Do you get me? In the simplest way. Obviously, it wasn't like explicit that he was like, oh, so this. It was just like I picked up on those things.
Okay.
And I don't know, so everyone's different as well. Like, I'm just very interested in that. Not everyone's interested. And also, I feel like, you know, when people go through traumatic experiences, everyone wants to forget those experiences or run away from those experiences.
Or suppress it. The
And I
emotions
think
that come with it.
society, like, the powers that be or whatever, know that. So they keep putting things in our faces
Facts.
that keep pushing us away from sitting in silence.
Facts.
Do you get me?
Facts.
So it's like
Are
some
you
people,
listening? Anyway. Go on.
like it's as deep as like some people can't eat food in silence. Like just eat your dinner with no music, no Netflix, no YouTube, nothing. Do you
that
get
could
me?
be hard though.
It is hard, but
That could
that's because we don't want to sit and like that thought of what he did or she did or they blah 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 comes into mind because we're trying to run away from it. So you're always trying to have something
To
distract you. Do you get me? So it's not their fault, you know. It's trauma, it's things that happened. But I think you definitely need to get to a place of like, okay, let me not be afraid to even just confront it for myself. Do you get me? But again,
And let's say if there's somebody out there that wants to get onto that journey, what advice would you have for them? Because obviously, like everybody.
sorry. I thought that was silent.
No, but it's very sensitive. What I was gonna say, what's it called? Because obviously everybody goes on their own journey of introspecting or like evolution from whatever event that triggers. So let's say if somebody does want to get on it, what advice would you say to like get into that? Because I feel like I talk about that on my channel a lot anyways, but especially dealing with like emotional trauma and stuff like that. So go watch my last video if you haven't watched it. But yeah.
I think again, so I've always been like this, but what's really changed recently is that, so you know, you can ask yourself, like, you can ask questions like, oh, how are you today? Yeah, which is a very broad question. But then somebody would usually say, oh, I'm good. But then it's like, what's good? Do you get me? So it's like, ask yourself enough questions that will help you answer honestly. Do you get me? So sometimes you might have to rephrase questions. Like, I've had to be like, because I ask myself, like, what do you want? Like, what do you care about? And that would make me think, oh, I like music, blah, blah. Like, what makes your heart cry? What wakes you up out of it? Like, do you get me? These are ways to ask yourself internal questions, you get me? Yeah, you know, just ask thought-provoking questions. Or just, yeah, because you can go on Google and literally look up questions that are profound questions and then write out your answers or just voice note or think of them. Do you get me? Yeah, essentially.
Did you come from a family of thinkers or people that like...
My dad is a big thinker, yeah.
So would you say you take on from him?
I feel like I'm a carbon copy of him. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything is from him, yeah.
And what about your mother? Like, do you have a good relationship with your parents in general?
Only now, like, and it makes me sad to think about it because my mom is getting older, do you get me? And it took me this long to start to get to know her. So, yeah, it's a bit sad, but, like, yeah, now I feel like I have a way better relationship with my parents.
Do you feel like that's the situation for a lot of African children.
That's our community. That's the problem.
That
I
is
actually
our
feel
community.
like that is where the attack is. Like, if anything, like all of this, like race, blah blah, great. But the one thing that they did very well
It's
was
fucking up our
destroy
family
our
structure.
family structure. And mainly
Facts.
when the father is not there,
Facts.
you can see that, like, oh,
It
this
really
is
does
this
play
is
a
what,
big
like,
role.
you see, like, the effects, like all the places that we talk about, Tala, blah blah blah. Majority of those people don't have their dad in their life, or if their dad is in their life, he's not
present.
present. You get me?
Or there's no emotional connection there.
yeah, or it's abusive, or it's not, like, there's no communication or anything.
Yeah.
Like, our parents just weren't educated. Like, they're coming from a whole different era, blah blah. And now there's a mix of, like, the things that we've adopted and everything, so they don't even understand that further and stuff. And we don't know how to express ourselves to them because they didn't teach us how to express. Like, there's so many, like, things.
Layers
you
to
get
it,
me?
yeah.
But I think, for me anyways, where I found my fix is, whether you like your parents or not, just know who they are, because the key of who you are is in them. Do you get me?
Facts.
Whether you like it or not, like, the good
Facts.
things and the bad things come
Facts.
from them. Do you get me? So it's good to know that, oh, that's what my mom did, or I don't have to do that. Do you get me? I can make a better decision, or I can do it differently, or this is a different obstacle. Because I'm nowadays, I'm asking my dad, like, so when you were my age, what were you doing? What were the things you wanted to tick off? Blah blah blah. And him answering it, I'm like, oh, I'm behind that, but that's where my mind is. Do you get me? So it's like, yeah, it's interesting just to gauge how behind or further you are than your parents were. You get me?
No, I totally agree. Because I wanted to segue from that and ask you a question. What is one thing that you wish Black men, you can specify in Ireland or just in general, did or started doing to evolve themselves? Because I'm a very big on the Black community and getting ourselves to a place of, like, evolution, because I don't like how our community is structured right now. I really, really, really don't like it. And I talk about it all the time on my social media. So the people don't know, but yeah, so from a Black man, what do you wish that Black men started to do or started to become more aware of to evolve for themselves as an individual and for our community?
I say be by themselves more.
Okay.
Like, sit in silence.
Okay.
Literally.
Okay.
I think that's the first thing you need to do, is just allow, I call it's God for me, God to speak, but he won't be able to speak if you're constantly overstimulated, constantly
Facts.
not
That's
letting
facts.
yourself, like, your brain's a computer, you know, like, we're constantly uploading things, but we're not allowing it to fully download and process everything. Do you get me? You actually need that, like, even if it's 10 minutes to just process some of the things you've taken out through your day. Do you get me? And I don't think a lot of men are doing that. Like, not a lot of men I know anyways aren't doing that, because we just
Aren't able to sit in solitude?
not aren't able, but they're not doing it. Do
Okay.
you get me? It's like, there's so many things that stimulate guys that, like
Like
it's
what?
hard. Video games, girls, social media, whatever art form or sport you do, gym, like, there's so many things that we enjoy doing and we keep doing, that we don't ever take a moment to just, like,
Chill out.
you get me? And even amongst ourselves, the conversations we're having, they're not necessarily the most productive conversations, because none of us have sat with ourselves. Do you get
Facts.
me? So it's not really helping ourselves. I feel like that would be my advice anyways.
Okay. And what flaw, I guess, have you also seen within the male species?
This is an agenda that you want me to
No.
say so.
No, because obviously I talk about the women side of things as
Yeah,
well. Do you
yeah.
know what I mean, on my socials? But I just want people to become a lot more consciously aware
Yeah.
of the shit that they do. Or
I feel like the flaw in men is, like, there's no more leaders, or there's no leadership or authority.
What's
or
leadership to you?
someone who knows where everyone is going. You know, the bus driver knows the destination. Yeah. If he doesn't, where are we going? Do you get me? And typically, from a traditional standpoint, the man should know where he's going so that the family he has has somewhere to go or has somewhere to, you know, be safe and all of that. But yeah, like I said, like I honestly think the start is inside you, because you won't know the destination if you don't know what you're here for, what your strengths are, or any of that. Do you get me?
Agree.
So yeah, there's a few faults in men. But it's because there's a lot. It's in humanity, but like I would actually say the onus is mostly on men. Onus is on men for sure. So we have to fix up. She didn't want it. She didn't know she was gonna hear that one.
No. No, I hear it. I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
What's your rebuttal? What came to mind when I said that?
Said what exactly?
When I ended that sentence?
No, I do agree, but in my head it was more because I'm specifying with just black men, to be honest with you, because I like not teasing what she's the rest of you, man, do you know what I mean? But I have a deep connection with the black community, even though you guys piss me the fuck off, but I don't like how our community is structured. Do you know what I mean? So I want everyone to get to a place of like at least being able to work alongside with each other, because I feel like we're just clashing all the time.
Like when I say leadership, like I'm thinking of when I'm answering about black men as well, because I can't speak for white men, but even in our community here in Ireland with the black community, I actually always try to think of this: who is the man or woman, but in this case the man, who is like leading, or the voice that everyone cares about. Do you get me? That actually says something that we'd be like, I hear what he's saying and we should change, or we should move this direction.
Do you think they're even tapped in enough to even understand what's being said? Because I feel like there are people that speak out, but nobody's actually like taking whatever is being said. You know,
everyone recognizes the guy who walks in with the energy in the room.
Okay.
Do you get me? Like everyone knows when that guy with the big dick energy walks in. Yeah, you can't not listen to him or be drawn to him. Do you get me? We don't have that. I don't think we have loud people. We have people saying a lot loudly, but like that's not where the energy is. You don't even have to be loud to like move a room. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So I don't think I think people would listen to something if it was something that was resonating or meant something, or it felt like, oh, we're going somewhere, not like you're just saying something that I think is nice or that's cool. Do you get me?
Is that the path that you're trying to go into?
I don't want to put myself in that position. I want to just like, if it's meant to be, then it will be. Do you get me? If people are drawn to what I'm saying, then we go. Do you get me? But I'm not gonna be like, yeah, listen to me. I have the answer. Do you get me? Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. You said something that you have a passion for the people, and I want to know, where does that come from? Like, speak on that. What do you mean passion for the people? What does that mean? Where does that stem from?
That one, I don't know where it came from. I'll say God gave me that one, because it's not necessarily like, I feel like it's something I'm trying to run away from for a long time, but I can't run away from it.
What does that mean to you, though? Passion for the people.
I don't even know if I use the word passion.
I could have read it
use
down.
the word passion. Crazy. I never use that word. I think when I say the people, you know I'm talking about my people.
Yeah.
Right?
Who else would it be? Sorry, not see no shade to rest of you.
I'm so on this, like, let's take our land back.
Facts.
Do you get me? Like,
literally.
Like, and I know it sounds like mad, because I'm not an activist. I don't do the whole like Black Lives Matter and all of that.
I really don't like that word.
Like, but I genuinely believe that people who had the privilege to leave the motherland and come out here and all of that, can see both sides of what's going on, or have some sort of like broader vision that the people who are there can't see. They're blind by poverty. They're blind by the corruption. You get me? So even speaking to elders, like, they just, me trying to say any solution is like, nah, but this happens and then this happens. It's always the negative. Do you get me? But it will always be that if the people out here don't switch on to be like, let's take it back. Let's do something. Do you get me? I know it's even mad to say that, but like, yeah, that's where the passion for the people comes from.
Why do you think it's mad to say that?
Because, like, when I listen to people say that, I think it's funny to hear.
Wait, say what exactly?
Like the motherland, and we're gonna take our all of that.
Why?
It sounds like, it sounds, what's the word? Idealistic. It sounds like a
What's wrong with
dream,
that?
a fantasy. Do you get me?
What's wrong with that?
I don't know. I'm still in the early stages of
Did
this.
Martin Luther King not say I have a dream?
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that?
But I can imagine when he started, I don't know, but I can imagine when he started, he was hearing a lot of like oh nah, they will never let us be free, blah blah blah.
And look at where we are now today.
But I can imagine he did have moments in his journey where he was
facts.
like,
Rebuttal.
yeah, this is probably a very, this is a wishy-washy dream, whatever, but I'm still gonna do it. Do you get me? Even if I find it funny or whatever, because it's still early days, it's still so far-fetched to me, but I can see it so clearly. Do you get me? So yeah, I just laugh at myself when I say it, but I'm like, yeah, I mean, let's do it still. Yeah.
Shout out to my good sis Harriet Tubman. Yeah. Okay, so where do you want Black people to end up, or like what is that goal? What is that dream fantasy that you would love for us to get to?
I feel like I'm becoming such a conspiracy theorist that I can't say too much, you know.
Nah, say it. I love conspiracies. Fuck it, like you're talking to the biggest conspiracy theorist. Like, go on.
Now, do you know what I think? Let me tackle one place, like my country, Zimbabwe. Right?